crazy,
Wow.
like the stuff in the book, because he talks about how originally Yakuza was like the Yakuza were actually seen as a second police force, and that's the reason why crime is so like low in Japan. Like there's no crime in Japan. If somebody gets shot, like if a Japanese person gets shot, it's actually like newsworthy, like people
like a national incident.
Yeah, exactly. That people get shot and people get stabbed.
You know what we should do?
It's kind of sad because
Go there and kick some ass.
well, it's kind of sad because it's not as, if you're a white person or if you're a foreigner and you get shot in Japan, it's not as big a deal,
Right.
because you're not Japanese. But the crazy thing about it is that's why there's no crime, is because there's the Yakuza in place.
And they keep things in order.
Exactly. So
and the cops like leave them alone for that.
Well, that's the thing, is that I from reading the book, I got this impression that Yakuza, they control a lot, and they especially control about how they are portrayed in the media. Like there are Yakuza like fan magazines here that you can go into a store and buy.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like you go buy,
Wow.
and there's people who you recognize their face because their head are more high Yakuza, like it's kind of almost like almost like those Teen Beat and those like pop things where the girls in America.
Beat.
Yeah, it's really weird. And
wow.
So they're not something that's like sought after to end. It's not a big problem.
Well, that's the thing, is that I think in the media they're portrayed as such like noble and like honorable people that people oftentimes think that they're good, or that they're. But
they're still a crime family.
Exactly. In honesty, like the guy who was writing this book, Jake Adelstein, was talking about how they're just as like they will open up these like legitimate looking like loan shark offices, like loan offices, and I've seen a lot of them in Japan walking around, and I'm like, I asked my friend, like, hey, what is that? There's this company called Eiffel. And I meaning love, and full meaning like full, so like full of love. And I'm like, what is that? What is that store? What does that do? It's like, oh, that they rent money, they loan people money. And then I immediately get like these like flashbacks from the book that he was reading, where he's talking about these Yakuza. They set up this building, they make it look really, really like it's like a professional. Like they hire real staff and real nice people to work in it. But underneath, it's all Yakuza backed. And like if you rent from there, like tons of people kill themselves because they rent the money at such exorbitant like interest rates that they can't pay it back, and they end up just fleeing from their lives and killing themselves. And the problem was Yakuza used to be.
Yeah, but that whole situation is a risk you take. I mean, that you're going to a loan shark if you're going there.
Right.
So I wouldn't.
No, but he talks about how the Yakuza actually go out and they target people. They look at people who they know have like bad credit history and bad like they can't deal with money. So they specifically go target those people and offer those people these loans. And it's crazy too, because I mean I think the Yakuza at one point was this very like the game, very, very honorable. Like originally you didn't take out, if you had like beef with another Yakuza member, you would like maybe fight it out and like maybe you killed them. So because you killed them, you would like send money to their family or what's left of their family, their wife and their kids, and you would basically, it sucks because as the person who beat them, it was like kind of your job to take care of their family now. So you would actually send money to that family and do that kind of stuff. And I don't think
see a problem with that.
Yeah, no, that's how it used to be, but I don't think that's how it is now.
Oh.
I think now it's so it's so distorted that like Yakuza is not. It's all
the
these
thing
like
about crime families, like the Yakuza or older American crime families, is that ideally they're all victimless crimes, like setting up gambling,
right.
Prostitution, strip clubs, loan sharks, stuff like that.
Like
and when you're getting into it, alcohol. When you're getting into it, you know what you're getting into. So I mean, ideally, you shouldn't have any problems, unless you're not self-aware or conscious enough to make the right decisions when you're dealing with those type of people.
That's another argument in all in itself. I don't know if there's ever any like victimless crimes, but
well, I mean, that's normally what they're started off of. I mean,
but yeah,
I'm sure they have hitmen and stuff, but I mean, that's kind of a little more up there, I guess.
so I guess to get back more on the topic, like Joseph, like you talked about it, like the game and how like Yakuza is portrayed, and I love that about the series. And one of the reasons why I wanted to push it so hard is because I think at one point in time that may have actually been the norm, but after reading into more, I'm worried that that's not the norm. That like maybe this game, like I can almost guarantee you that this game probably has some sort of Yakuza backing, like an actual Yakuza in Japan backing and supervising this game and trying to and actually telling people, okay, this is how you portray it.
If the Yakuza didn't like it, they would do something.
Exactly, like they would not allow you, like them to make this game. If you look at the designer,
they want it to be a positive image. That's why, I mean, whether or not they're honorable in real life, they want to definitely look pretty damn good in the game.
Right,
everyone's theme.
And it's certainly a good recruiting tool.
Yeah, exactly. It's crazy because if you look at the game's producer Toshiro Nagaoshi, if you look at his pictures beforehand, he looks like a normal Japanese guy. But if you look at him now, he's all decked out in like sweatpants and sunglasses. He's got like a darker tan. His hair's all spiked. He's surrounded by women all the time. Now I don't know if that's part of him going around playing up the image to sell more games, or if his life has actually changed that way. It's really weird. It's really an interesting dynamic because Japan is really one of the safest countries like out. Like, you know, here people don't like, they lock their doors, but like 90% of the time the doors aren't locked here where I stay. And when they go anywhere, they just leave the keys in their car. They leave the keys in their car. They leave their car running. They go inside. They start talking to some family. Oh, I've lost track of time. Sorry, we got to go now. They go back outside. The keys are still in their car, and they drive off. So it's crazy how safe it is. But also, I have this like scaredness that it's like this false sense of safe because actually they always say there's not that many murders. There's not that many deaths in Japan. But it may just be because the Yakuza do such a good job of like, they own all these like construction facilities. So like when they want to kill somebody, they kill them and then they just dump their body into the concrete,
the cement or
Yeah,
something.
like exactly the foundation of the new building they're building this week, and nobody ever finds the body. So of course there's no murder, there's no death, there's no record of it.
So when you were talking about this, I'm immediately thinking of like Yakuza games as sort of like in America we have those America Army games on the PC that were made by the United States military, and it's a first-person shooter, but it's kind of known just to be nothing more than a recruiting tool for the U.S. military. And I'm wondering if the Yakuza games are, in a way, Japan's version of that, but for Yakuza.
No, I don't think it's so much. I don't know.
I don't think the Yakuza's gonna be like, oh, he beat our game in 24 hours. Well,
no. But as far as
it makes people like see them in a good light and go, hey, that might be something I want to get into. Like they have good suits on and they go sing karaoke with cute girls.
You can watch The Godfather and feel that, or you can watch Hustle and Flow and think you want to be a rapper. I mean, that essentially it's all the same stuff.
I don't think so much of it as it isn't so much as a recruiting tool, but it definitely I think it does. They do want to portray this positive image, because if they think the Yakuza is this honorable group society that's protecting the land, then there's no reason to start trying to question it or trying to wonder why it's there, or raise stink into the government and be like, dude, the Yakuza is always so they've always tried to be like keep their a positive image. If the public is scared of them, but also realizes that they're not going to.
They respect them.
Yeah, if they respect them, then they'll basically leave them alone and let them do their things. So
Right.
Is there anything else?
It's a really interesting relationship.
Yeah,
it's very very
it's symbiotic.
Because the thing is, the police here is pretty much toothless. Like they have no power. The police really have no power to do anything here.
Do they not carry guns? Is what I heard.
In Japan, it's a lot harsher penalty if you use gun. So basically, it kind of
police don't have guns.
Right. So I think they might, but so it's kind of reverted back to this kind of like, hey, let's carry around swords and knives, because if we use a gun, we may get 10 years in prison. Where if we stab somebody, we may only get a year or two.
All right.
So it's
like here, if you have an automatic weapon, that's immediately like a lifetime in jail. But if you use a normal weapon, gun, it's not such a serious crime.
Yeah, so it's a really weird thing. Like, I was reading in this book also. I don't want to. I want to say more talking about the video games, but like I was reading something, and when I was reading this book, there was this one point where they were talking about the police was going to go raid this Yakuza office, and they were getting ready to go and raid this office, and the police were getting ready. But the thing about it is tomorrow they're going to go raid this Yakuza office, but today the news, like his news like company already knew about it, so they were getting ready to go and like. So if you go and think, if the news company knows that tomorrow there's going to be a raid on this Yakuza building, the Yakuza already know.
They know, yeah.
So anything, any bad information, any like incriminating documents, they are like today they're already like boxing it away and hiding it away. So it's like, well, why do they know? It's because the police actually send a letter to the office. They send a letter to the Yakuza office saying, hey, tomorrow we're going to raid your office. And so it's like, what the fuck? Why would you tell the enemy that you're going to go and raid their office? Well, they do it because if they don't and they go raid, there's going to be a lot of casualties and deaths and like a lot of like resistance. So they're avoiding resistance by telling them, hey, tomorrow we're going to raid your thing.
Right.
And so
and
it's
they
like,
could also,
So and it gives the illusion that
the police are
still the police are still doing their job.
Exactly.
You know?
So there's this backward.
So I'm sure it's
mechanic.
a relationship like, don't make us look bad, Yakuza. So let us raid something every now and then. Don't get pissed off about it, and then that way we can have a good relationship going.
That's exactly what happens. So the Yakuza will prepare some stuff for them and give it to them, like all packaged up. Here's some evidence against us. Here you go. And it's like it's this weird in Japan is very very like this. It's funny because it's not just in their it's funny because it's not just in their normal life. Like when you hand a business card over, there's a certain way you hand it. You use two hands, you bow, you politely give it to them, and that mechanic goes all the way into from giving a business card in normal daily life all the way up to Yakuza and police dealings. It's bizarre. It's completely bizarre how much they follow rules here. So it's funny. How